You do not get what you deserve in life. You get what you are willing to ask for. The world is full of people who quietly want more respect, more support, more freedom, more opportunity, but they never say it out loud. They wait. They hope someone will notice. They shrink their needs, silence their voice, and then secretly wonder why nothing changes. They tell themselves that asking is selfish, that speaking up makes them look needy, that strong people handle everything alone. But that is a lie that keeps them trapped. In reality, asking is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of clarity. It is a sign that you know what you want, you understand your value, and you are willing to step forward instead of sitting in the background. Life does not reward quiet suffering. It rewards clear intention and bold action. No one can read your mind. No one can guess what you really need if you never say it. That is why learning how to ask clearly, calmly, and confidently is one of the most powerful skills you will ever build. It is a mental training, an emotional training, and a communication training. When you master it, you stop living as a silent passenger in your own life and start leading it. This journey is not about becoming loud or aggressive. It is about becoming honest, with yourself first and then with others. It is about breaking the fear of rejection, the habit of overthinking, and the need for constant approval. It is about understanding how your mind works, how other people think, and how to navigate both with strength. The art of asking is not luck, it is a discipline. Your life will only rise as high as your willingness and ability to ask.
Real change begins in one invisible place: your beliefs about yourself. It does not start with your job, your bank balance, your education, or your talent. It starts with the quiet story running inside your mind about what you are allowed to have. If, deep down, you believe you do not deserve better, you will never ask for better. You will convince yourself to stay where you are. You will stay in jobs that underpay you, in relationships that drain you, in environments that ignore you. And you will tell yourself it is fine, even when every part of you knows it is not. That quiet self-story becomes your life, not because life had no other options for you, but because you never changed what you believed you were worth. Before you can be bold with other people, you must be bold with yourself. You must stand up in your own mind and declare without apology, I deserve a better life, and I am going to start asking for it. That is not arrogance, that is truth. You were born with potential, but potential is useless if you are too busy doubting yourself to use it. To train your mind, you must first become aware of how you speak to yourself. Listen to your inner voice. Do you constantly criticize yourself? Do you talk yourself out of opportunities before they even begin? Do you keep repeating lines like, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, or people like me don't get that kind of life? That thinking is not neutral, it is poison. It keeps you small, broke, stuck, and silent. To rise, you must replace those messages with stronger ones. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, even if you don't fully believe it yet, I matter. I'm capable. I have something valuable to offer. Then live like those words are true. This is not about ignoring your flaws. It is about refusing to define yourself by them. You may not be perfect, but you are growing. You may not know everything, but you are willing to learn. You may not have all the answers yet, but you are taking action. That mindset changes how you walk into a room, how you sit at a table, how you speak when your name is called. The person who believes they deserve more does not apologize for taking up space. They do not beg for crumbs and call it gratitude. They ask for fair treatment, for better chances, for more time, more opportunity, and more respect, not because they are greedy, but because they finally recognize their own value. If you grew up in a world that told you to stay quiet, to accept whatever you are given, to be thankful for scraps, that expecting more might feel wrong at first. But that old training was about control, not your true worth.
you must unlearn it. Start with small acts of self-respect. Speak up when something feels unfair, even if your voice shakes. Do not pretend to be okay with disrespect just to avoid tension. Do not downplay your goals to make other people comfortable. Remind yourself every day, what you tolerate becomes your standard. If you keep accepting less, less will keep arriving. Raise your standard. Treat asking as your right, not as a burden. If you show up, work hard, and contribute value, you are not a problem for wanting more. You are being responsible for your own life. The battle begins and ends in your mind. Win that battle, and you will walk differently, decide differently, and ask differently. When you truly believe you deserve more, not sometimes, not halfway, but consistently, your entire life begins to shift.
One of the deepest reasons people stay silent is a hidden belief. If I ask, I'm bothering them. This belief does not just live in your thoughts, it lives in your body. You feel it when your chest tightens right before you speak, when your throat feels locked, when your voice comes out smaller than you intended. That reaction is not politeness, it is fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of being told you were too much, fear of being seen as needy, demanding, or weak. So you hold back. You decide it is safer to stay quiet, to carry everything alone, to pretend your needs do not exist. On the surface, this looks like being easygoing or low maintenance. In reality, it is self-neglect. In that silence, your needs are ignored, your talents stay hidden, your dreams are postponed, and your potential remains unused, not because you lacked ability, but because you refused to speak. Many kind, generous, intelligent people live like this. They will help everyone else, but they never ask for help themselves. Somewhere in their past, asking was punished, mocked, or ignored. They were taught that strong people never need support, that wanting something from others is selfish, that asking for clarity or a chance makes you a problem. That story has to be destroyed if you want to grow. Asking does not mean you are weak, it means you are honest. It takes far more strength to say, I need help, or I don't understand, or I deserve a chance, than it does to stay silent and pretend everything is fine. Weakness hides, strength speaks. To change this, you must break the mental link between asking and bothering. Understand this. Most people are not sitting around judging you. They're busy with their own stress, their own worries, their own fears. A simple, clear request. Could you help me with this? Is this opportunity available? Would you consider this idea? Is not an attack on them. It is an honest communication. People are not mind readers. If you do not speak up, they usually assume you're okay. They move on, you stay stuck. That is not fair to you, and it is not healthy for any relationship. Good relationships, whether in family, friendships, or work, depend on clear communication. Asking is part of that. When you finally see asking as a responsibility instead of an interruption, your confidence rises. You no longer apologize for existing. You no longer shrink your requests down to crumbs. You speak like someone who respects their own needs. Will everyone react perfectly? No. Some people may be annoyed. Some may say no. That is their right. But their reaction does not define your worth, and it does not mean you were wrong to ask. A direct no is better than silent suffering. No gives you information. It tells you where not to lean, where not to depend, which door is closed, and where you might need to pivot. Silence, on the other hand, keeps you guessing and drains your energy. The more you avoid asking, the more resentful you become. Resentful of others for not guessing your needs, and resentful of yourself for staying invisible. Train yourself to ask even when it feels uncomfortable. At first, your heart will race, your voice might shake. Ask anyway. Every time you do, you prove to your nervous system that you can survive the moment, that you are not a burden, that you are allowed to exist fully. Over time, your brain learns a new pattern. Asking is not danger, asking is growth. That is how you move from living in quiet resentment to living in open, honest strength.
Nervousness is not a signal to stay silent. It is a signal that you are stepping into something that matters. When you are about to speak your needs, your body often reacts as if you are in danger. Your hands sweat, your breathing gets shallow, your heart pounds, your voice trembles. Your brain interprets this as a warning. Stop, be quiet, stay safe. But there is no real physical danger in saying, "This is what I need," or "This is how I feel." The danger only exists in your mind, in the fear of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. Most people were never taught how to move through that feeling. Instead, they were taught that speaking up causes drama, that asking for what they need makes things awkward, that honesty creates problems. So they learn to avoid the tension by avoiding the truth. They hold everything inside until frustration, loneliness, and resentment build up. And still, on the outside, they act as if everything is fine. The cost of that silence is heavy. When you never say what you truly need, you train the world to ignore those needs. People respond to what they can see and hear. If you never speak, they assume there is nothing to respond to. They continue with their lives while you stay stuck in a role you never chose, the quiet one, the easy one, the one who never complains. Over time, you begin to feel invisible and powerless, not because others are cruel, but because you have been blocking your own voice. Your needs are real. They exist whether you admit them or not. The question is, will you give them a voice? Each time you speak your needs, even in a small way, you send an important message to your own mind. My feelings matter. My voice counts. I am worth listening to. That is how self-respect is built, not through fake confidence, but through repeated acts of honesty. Do not wait for the nervousness to disappear before you speak. It may not. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act while fear is present. Start in small, safe situations. Use simple, direct words. You do not need a perfect speech. You do not need advanced vocabulary. You just need clear truth. I need some time alone. I'd like more clarity about this. That comment hurt me. I would appreciate your support. Say it calmly. Say it slowly if you must. You might shake. You might feel unsure. Say it anyway. Each time you do, your inner voice grows stronger. You start to realize that the world does not collapse when you tell the truth. In fact, many relationships improve. People often respect someone more when they express themselves honestly and clearly. Even when they cannot give you exactly what you want, they at least know where you stand. That clarity builds trust. Holding your needs in does not protect peace. It destroys it from the inside. It turns your mind into a battlefield. You replay conversations. You imagine what you should have said. You blame others for not understanding you, even though you never explained yourself. Unspoken needs become silent expectations, and silent expectations eventually become anger. The solution is not to become demanding or harsh. The solution is to become real. Strong people do not avoid their needs. They take responsibility for them. They speak them, accept that not every need will be met, but refuse to live in confusion. When life gives them a no, they adjust. When it gives them a yes, they move forward with gratitude. In both cases, they stay honest. Your voice is your power. Use it when your heart is steady and when it is racing. Use it when your palms are dry and when they are shaking. The more you practice, the less control fear will have over you. Your life will not transform because you waited for perfect confidence. It will transform because you spoke your truth again and again until your nervous system finally understood, we are safe. We are allowed to exist. We are allowed to ask. You have spent too much of your life waiting for the right time, waiting to feel confident, waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, "You're ready now." That fantasy will keep you stuck forever because no one is coming to hand you your future. Most people never step into the life they want, not because they lack ability, but because they are trained to wait. They wait for a sign, for approval, for someone more powerful to let them move. While they wait, time moves. While they hesitate, others step forward. You have seen people less talented, less experienced, less prepared than you get the very opportunities you dreamed about. It wasn't luck, it was initiative. They didn't wait for someone to grant them permission. They asked, even when they were unsure. They knocked on the door before anyone said it was open. They risked being told no, and because of that, they found their yes. The need for permission is rooted in fear, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being called pushy, ungrateful, or unrealistic. That fear dresses itself up as politeness or humility, but underneath it is one message: stay small so nobody criticizes you. If you obey that message, you lose. You lose time, you lose chances, you lose the version of yourself you could have become if you had acted when the desire was alive. You were trained from childhood to wait your turn, follow rules, raise your hand, and not speak unless you were spoken to. That may work in a classroom, but adulthood is different. There is no principle, no permission slip, no final bell that tells you, now is your moment. In real life, your moment begins the second you decide to move. You do not need to feel completely ready. Growth rarely feels ready. You do not need everyone to understand or approve of your ask. You need to trust that if you are asking for something honest and fair, you have every right to speak up. Asking should come from strength, not from begging, from clarity, not from desperation. That strength sounds like this: is there an opportunity for me here? Can I take on more responsibility? What is the next step for me to be considered? These are simple questions, but they separate leaders from spectators. The cost of rejection is small compared to the cost of regret. You can recover from a no. You cannot recover time you never used. Every day you tell yourself, not yet, you are quietly deciding to stay exactly where you are. Life does not pause while you gather courage, it keeps moving. If you want to change your position, you must stop checking the world for permission and start giving yourself the green light. Wanting more is not a flaw, it is a signal of where your energy and potential are calling you. Follow it. Ask from that place of truth. If the answer is no, adjust and ask again somewhere else. If the answer is yes, your one brave question might shift your entire direction. But nothing shifts until you speak.
Asking is not only about what you want, it is about who you are asking. The difference between a rejected request and a respected one often comes down to how well you understand the mind on the other side. Most people focus only on their own desire. How can I get this person to say yes to me? That is a one-sided approach, and one-sided asking usually runs into resistance. The smarter approach is to step out of your own perspective and step into theirs. People see the world through their own filters, shaped by their past, their fears, their values, and their responsibilities. If you ignore that, your ask will feel selfish, clumsy, or out of touch. But when you slow down and actually observe, people become easier to read. Some are driven primarily by logic. They want data, proof, and time to analyze. Others are driven by emotion. They want to feel understood, safe, and connected. Some people are focused on control. If they feel pushed, they automatically pull back. Others value peace so much that they may say yes just to avoid conflict, then quietly resent you later. To ask effectively, you must first ask yourself, what kind of person am I dealing with? What do they care about? What worries might they have? That awareness isn't manipulation, it is respect. You are not just throwing words at them, you are speaking in a language they can actually receive. Consider how this plays out in real life. If your manager is metrics-driven and you ask for a raise by saying, "I've been trying really hard," you are speaking the wrong language. Their brain hears feelings, it wants facts.
A better ask is, in the last 6 months, I've increased sales by 20% and handled these 3 additional responsibilities. Based on that, I'd like to discuss a raise. Same desire, different language. Or imagine a partner who needs time to process emotions. If you corner them in a heated moment and demand immediate answers, their brain goes into defense. Instead, you might say, I'd like to talk about getting more quality time together. When you're ready later today, can we sit down and discuss it? You are still asking for what you need, but in a way that respects how they function. Before every important ask, pause and prepare. Listen to how this person usually talks. Pay attention to what they repeat, what they avoid, what they complain about, what they celebrate. Are they fast and decisive or slow and cautious? Do they respond better to detail or to big picture vision? When you show that you've thought about their world, not just your wish, you instantly increase their willingness to hear you. People are far more open when they feel seen, not just used. Sometimes even a sentence like, I know you're under a lot of pressure right now and I appreciate your time, is enough to lower their guard. Will everyone say yes when you ask this way? No, but the yeses you do receive will not be accidents. They will be the result of intentional, respectful communication. Over time, this wins you more than one answer. It wins you trust, credibility, and relationships that keep opening doors long after the first conversation.
The word no has controlled more lives than failure ever has. Most people are not really afraid of speaking. They are afraid of what might come back. They are afraid of the moment someone looks them in the eye and says, no, not you, not now, not this. That single syllable carries the weight of every past rejection, every time you felt small, every memory of being ignored or laughed at for trying. Your brain stores those emotional wounds, and to protect you, it tries to save you from ever feeling that again. So every time you think about asking, your mind plays an old movie. Remember when they shut you down? Remember when they didn't take you seriously? And before you even open your mouth, you retreat. The tragedy is that you're not actually afraid of a word. You're afraid of a meaning you attach to it. Somewhere, you decided that no means you're not good enough. You were wrong to ask. You never should have tried. But none of that is true. In reality, no usually means one of 3 things. Not this person, not this time, or not this way. It says something about the situation, not about your worth. Once you separate your value from the answer, the fear begins to lose its grip. Your brain is wired to avoid pain, emotional and physical. Rejection can activate the same areas of the brain as physical hurt, which is why a simple no can feel so big. But the good news is that your response to that feeling can be retrained. Think of your tolerance for no like a muscle. At first, the smallest rejection feels heavy, but the more you lift it, the stronger you become. Each time you ask and survive a no, you send your nervous system a new message. We're okay. This is uncomfortable, but it's not deadly. Over time, the panic signal weakens. The only way to build this strength is through exposure. You cannot think your way into resilience. You must live your way into it. Start by challenging the belief that no means you're not good enough. Ask yourself, who taught me that being refused makes me unworthy? Was it one teacher, one parent, one moment? Why am I letting that single storyline govern my entire future? Now, consciously rewrite the meaning. No is direction, not destruction. It gives me feedback, teaches me timing, and filters the wrong doors out of my path. The most successful people you can name have heard more no's than you can imagine. Publishers rejected them, bosses overlooked them, investors doubted them, and still they asked again. They refused to treat no as a final verdict. They treated it as data. They refined their approach, changed their strategy, and knocked on new doors. If you fear no too much, you will live very small.
You will only take safe chances. You will avoid big conversations. You will sit in the back row of your own life, wondering what might have happened if you had been brave enough to risk one uncomfortable answer. The greater pain is not rejection, it is regret. A no lasts a moment. A what if can last years. You do not need to be fearless to act. You simply need to be willing to feel the sting of no without letting it define you. Practice asking where no is a real possibility, a new opportunity, extra responsibility, a better deal, more support. Sometimes people will say yes and surprise you. Sometimes they will say no and teach you. In both cases, you win because you are in motion. You are in the arena, not hiding in the stands. Remember, no is a sound, not a sentence. It does not close every door. In many cases, it pushes you toward the right one. You are not weak for wanting something. You are not wrong for asking. You only lose when you let the fear of one small word decide the size of your entire life. Hear no, stand up and ask again. That is how strong futures are built.
At the beginning, asking will not feel natural. It will feel awkward, risky, even wrong. Your voice may tighten, your thoughts may scatter, and your body may send every signal to retreat. That is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that your nervous system has been trained for years to stay silent. You learned, maybe from family, school, or early experiences, that asking leads to trouble, rejection, or shame. So your brain built a rule: stay quiet and you stay safe. The only way to rewrite that rule is through practice, not theory. Asking is a skill, just like speaking a new language or learning a sport. At first, you will not feel smooth. You may stumble over words, you may replay the conversation later and wish you had said it differently. That is all part of the training. The goal is not to feel confident before you begin. The goal is to ask so many times that confidence is the inevitable result. Your brain does not learn safety from overthinking. It learns safety from repeated experience. Every time you ask and survive, no matter what the answer is, you teach your nervous system, we can do this. We are not in danger. We are allowed to speak. Over dozens of small repetitions, fear slowly loses its authority. Start small and practical. Ask a colleague to clarify something in a meeting instead of pretending you understand. Ask a friend for a small favor. Ask a family member for help with a minor task. Ask for someone's opinion. These are not just social interactions, they are reps in the mental gym. You are not only collecting answers, you are retraining your brain. With each ask, whether you get a yes, a no, or a maybe, you stack proof that you can handle the outcome. Over time, you stop making every ask a massive emotional event. It becomes communication, not crisis. One of the most damaging habits is overthinking an ask until you talk yourself out of it. You imagine worst-case reactions, you write long speeches in your head, and by the time you are done, your courage has evaporated. Break that pattern with a simple rule. If you've been thinking about asking for more than 30 seconds, you must at least attempt it. Let action interrupt analysis. Remember, asking is not demanding. You can be direct without being disrespectful. You can be firm without being harsh. You are not trying to control the answer. You are simply refusing to hide the question. Emotional freedom begins when you separate your self-worth from the response. People say no for their own reasons: stress, timing, priorities, not as a full judgment of your value. When you accept that, you become lighter. You no longer need every yes. You simply need to keep asking. Eventually, you will notice something powerful. You begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying as the quiet one who never speaks up and start recognizing, I am someone who asks. I am someone who leads my life instead of waiting in the background. That identity shift is where real strength lives.
Most people are not denied what they want. They are misunderstood because they never state it clearly. They speak in hints, indirect complaints, or emotional outbursts, then feel hurt when no one responds the way they hoped. But no one can hit a target they cannot see. Confusion is the enemy of progress. If you want others to respond, you must learn to speak in clean, simple, direct language. Human psychology naturally avoids discomfort. When you're about to ask for something that matters, your mind often tries to soften it. You talk in circles, add extra explanations, or bury the real request under vague feelings. You might say, "I just feel like no one supports me," when what you actually need is, "I would like you to come with me to this important meeting." The first sentence is an emotional cloud. The second is a clear request. Only the second one allows the other person to take meaningful action. Clarity is not rudeness, it is respect for your time and theirs. When you are clear, you remove guessing, you remove games, you give the other person something solid to respond to. Clarity begins before you open your mouth. It starts with you sitting with yourself and asking, "What do I actually want here?" Not, "What do I hope they magically understand?" but "What exact outcome am I looking for?" Do you want more time, more help, more money, more respect, more space, more information? Once you know, translate that into straightforward language. Not dramatic, not attacking, not vague, simple. "I'd like to discuss a raise based on the extra responsibilities I've taken on. I need some alone time this weekend to recharge. I'd appreciate it if you'd speak to me with more respect, even when you're stressed." These sentences may feel blunt at first because you are used to hiding behind polite confusion, but directness is what real adults use to solve real problems. Many people avoid direct language because they are afraid of being seen as aggressive. The key difference is this: aggression ignores the other person's dignity. Assertiveness respects it while still standing firm. You can say, "This is what I need," without yelling, shaming, or blaming. Calm, assertive clarity is one of the most attractive and trustworthy forms of communication. Lack of clarity is behind more broken relationships and workplace conflicts than malice ever will be. Two people can genuinely care about each other, but if they keep speaking indirectly, they end up hurt and confused. Vague statements create room for assumptions. Assumptions create resentment. When you say exactly what you mean, you give the relationship a chance to stay honest. The right people will lean into that honesty. The wrong people may be uncomfortable and pull away, and that information is valuable. Truth never scares away the right people. It only exposes who was never truly with you. You must also practice clarity with yourself. Stop telling yourself you are fine when you are not. Stop pretending you do not care when you do. The more honest you are internally, the easier it becomes to be honest externally. When you speak, say what you mean, then stop. Do not bury your ask under endless justifications. Say it cleanly, and let silence work. People cannot support, respect, or adjust to needs that are buried under confusion. Speak them with precision. That is how you turn your voice into a tool for change, instead of a source of constant misunderstanding.
Once you begin asking clearly, an important reality will reveal itself. Not everyone will treat your voice with the respect it deserves. Some will listen carefully, even when they disagree. Some will take your words seriously and respond with honesty. Others will dismiss you, ignore you, change the subject, mock your request, or make you feel guilty for even bringing it up. These reactions are not random. They are signals. They show you exactly how those people view your place in their world. Respect is not measured only by how often someone says yes to you. It is measured by how they handle your clarity, especially when it is inconvenient for them. In a healthy dynamic, someone might still say no, but they will do it without shaming you. They will acknowledge your perspective, explain their limits, and appreciate that you trusted them enough to speak up. That is respect. In an unhealthy dynamic, your honest ask becomes a trigger. The other person might twist your words, act offended that you even asked, use guilt to shut you down, or punish you later with distance or anger. That is not respect. That is control. If you ignore these patterns, you slowly train yourself to become smaller around them.
You cannot force people to value your voice. You can, however, choose where you invest it. Pay attention to consistent behavior, not one-off moments. Anyone can be distracted once, but if someone regularly ignores your requests, constantly talks over you, or treats your needs as an irritation, they are telling you who they are. Believe them. Strong people do not beg to be heard. They do not repeat themselves endlessly to those who have no intention of listening. They do not explain their worth to people who gain power from their silence. Instead, they quietly adjust. They limit access. They stop bringing their most important asks to people who have shown they cannot be trusted with them. This is not cold or bitter. It is self-respect. Your environment either supports your growth or suffocates it. Your clarity will make some people uncomfortable, especially if they were benefiting from your silence. When you stop playing small, their control is exposed. They may call you difficult, changed, or ungrateful. That is their attempt to pull you back into the old role. Do not confuse their discomfort with your wrongdoing. Your job is not to stay silent so others never have to adjust. Your job is to live honestly and protect the space where your voice can exist without being punished. At the same time, recognize and deeply value the people who do respect your ask. Notice who leans in when you speak, who remembers what you said, who follows through, who can disagree with you without attacking you. These are the people you can build with. They create a climate where asking, setting boundaries, and expressing needs are normal, not dangerous. That kind of environment accelerates your growth. You think more clearly, speak more bravely, and act more boldly when you are not constantly bracing for disrespect. You are allowed to raise your standards. You are allowed to outgrow relationships where your words are treated as background noise. You are allowed to reserve your deep honesty for people who have earned it. Noticing who respects your ask is not about keeping score. It is about protecting your future. Your voice is your power. Give it where it can be honored, not where it will be used against you.
There is a vast difference between asking from strength and asking from desperation, and people can feel that difference immediately. When you ask from desperation, your energy is heavy. You sound like you are begging. Your voice carries fear, urgency, and neediness. You talk too much, explain too much, apologize too much. The other person senses that you believe you have no other options, and that immediately lowers their respect for your request. Desperation repels people. It makes them uncomfortable. Even if they want to help, the weight of your anxiety makes them hesitate. On the other hand, when you ask from strategy, you are calm. You have thought through your request. You know your value. You have other options, even if this one does not work. That energy is magnetic. People listen more carefully. They take you more seriously. They see someone who is making a choice, not someone who is out of choices. Strategy means you prepare before you speak. You research the person, the timing, the situation. You do not rush in emotionally. You think, what is the best way to position this ask so it benefits both of us? You think about what language will resonate. You ask yourself, if they say no, what is my next move? That kind of preparation removes panic. It replaces anxiety with clarity. Strategic asking also means you know when not to ask. Sometimes the timing is wrong. Sometimes the person is under too much stress. Sometimes you need to build more trust first. Wise people do not force every moment into an opportunity. They wait for the right window and then speak with precision. This does not mean you play games or manipulate. It means you respect the flow of human interaction. You understand that influence is built over time, not demanded in a single conversation. If you approach every ask like it is your last chance, you will come across as frantic. But if you approach it like one of many possible steps forward, you will come across as confident. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence says, I believe in what I am asking for,
and I also believe in my ability to handle whatever answer comes. That inner stability changes everything. You stop gripping too tightly. You stop making people feel pressured. You give them space to think, and often that space is exactly what they need to say yes. People want to support those who are rising, not those who are collapsing. They want to invest in people who have a plan, not those who are improvising out of fear. So before you ask, pause, breathe, organize your thoughts. Walk into that conversation like someone who has done their homework, someone who knows their worth, and someone who is ready to move forward with or without this particular answer. That is the energy that opens doors. However, asking alone is not enough. Some people get trapped in endless questioning, research, and planning. They keep gathering opinions but never step forward. That leads to mental exhaustion and more fear because unacted on information becomes psychological weight. To break that, attach an action to every ask. If you ask for feedback, act on one piece of it. If you ask about an opportunity and they say yes, take the next concrete step immediately. Send the email, fill the form, start the draft. If they say no, take a different action. Adjust your approach, seek a new person, refine your skills. Movement, not just intention, is what builds momentum. Momentum is not magic. It is the cumulative effect of small decisions to move instead of stall. The more you do, the more your self-trust grows. You stop doubting whether you can handle life because your own history proves that you can. You become the kind of person who does not wait to feel ready, but creates readiness by engaging. Do not reserve asking and acting for the days you feel strong. The people who grow the fastest are those who move even when they are tired, uncertain, or still stinging from the last no. They do not attach their identity to each answer. They see themselves as someone committed to the process, not addicted to outcomes. When you live this way, fear does not disappear, but it loses its ability to paralyze you. You trim away years of waiting, second-guessing, and regret. Instead of saying, "Someday I'll try," your life becomes a series of, "Today I asked, and this is what I did with the answer." That is how you build a life that reflects your true potential, not by hoping, not by silently wishing, but by asking clearly and acting consistently. One clear ask, one concrete action, repeated again and again. That is the art of asking turned into a way of living, and that is where your future begins to transform.
Many people avoid asking in personal relationships because they are afraid it will create distance, tension, or conflict. They believe that staying quiet keeps the peace. But silence does not build intimacy, it destroys it. Real closeness is built when two people can be honest with each other, even when that honesty is uncomfortable. If you cannot ask your partner, your family, or your close friends for what you need, then the relationship is not as strong as it appears. It is polite, it is surface level, but it is not deep. Deep relationships require the courage to speak truthfully and the maturity to listen without defensiveness. When you ask someone you care about for something, more time, more support, more understanding, you are not attacking them. You are inviting them into your inner world. You are saying, "I trust you enough to be real with you." That is a compliment, not a burden. The problem comes when people do not know how to ask in a way that feels safe. They either stay silent until they explode, or they ask in an aggressive, blaming tone that immediately puts the other person on the defensive. Neither works. The solution is to ask with honesty and respect at the same time. Start by naming your feeling without accusing. Instead of saying, "You never make time for me," try, "I've been feeling disconnected lately, and I'd really love more quality time together. Can we plan something this week?" The first version sounds like an attack. The second sounds like an invitation.
Most people respond much better to invitations than accusations. You also need to give the other person space to respond honestly. Do not corner them. Do not demand instant agreement. Let them think. Let them share their side. Real communication is a two-way exchange, not a one-sided demand. When both people feel heard, asking actually strengthens the relationship. It clears the air. It removes assumptions. It builds trust because both people see that honesty is safe here. Over time, this creates a culture in the relationship where problems are solved quickly instead of buried for years. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop pretending everything is fine when it is not. You become two people who know how to navigate life together with openness and respect. Of course, not every relationship can handle this level of honesty. Some people are so defensive, so controlling, or so emotionally immature that any request feels like a threat to them. If you are in a relationship like that, romantic, family, or friendship, you have a choice. You can keep shrinking yourself to protect their ego, or you can start protecting your own peace by either setting firm boundaries or stepping back entirely. Healthy relationships grow when both people are willing to ask and willing to adjust. Toxic relationships stay stuck because one person demands all the power and the other is afraid to speak. Do not sacrifice your voice to keep a relationship that only works when you stay silent. The right people will not punish you for being honest. They will appreciate it. They will meet you halfway. And together, you will build something real, not perfect, but honest, strong, and capable of lasting.
Everything in your life up until this moment has been shaped by one thing: whether or not you were willing to ask. The job you have, the relationships you are in, the respect you receive, the opportunities you were given, all of it is connected to the moments when you either spoke up or stayed silent. Some of those silences were small, others cost you years. But today, right now, you have the power to change the pattern. You do not need anyone's permission. You do not need to wait until you feel fearless. You simply need to decide that from this day forward, you will stop living like your voice does not matter. You will stop treating your needs like they are optional. You will stop waiting for life to hand you what you deserve and start asking for it directly, clearly, and without apology. That decision is the turning point. Not someday, not when you are ready, now. The moment you choose to ask without fear is the moment your future splits into two paths: the life you are settling for and the life you are about to create. Fear will not disappear just because you decide to act. It will still be there whispering in your ear, reminding you of past failures, planting doubt in your mind. But fear only wins if you obey it. You do not have to silence fear. You just have to stop letting it make your decisions. Walk forward while it whispers. Speak while your heart races. Ask while your hands shake. Every time you do, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the feeling. You begin to reclaim your power one question at a time, one conversation at a time, one bold move at a time. And as you keep going, something shifts inside you. You stop seeing yourself as someone who has to accept whatever life throws at you. You start seeing yourself as someone who creates, who negotiates, who leads. That identity shift is where real transformation happens. You do not become a different person. You become the fullest version of who you always were underneath the fear. Your life will only rise as high as your willingness to ask. If you ask small, you will receive small. If you never ask at all, you will spend your entire life wondering what could have been. But if you ask boldly, consistently, and without shame, you will be shocked at how much the world is willing to give you. Not because you are lucky, not because you are special, but because you had the courage to open your mouth and make your intentions clear. People respect clarity. Life rewards action.
And those who combine both, those who ask with strength and follow through with discipline, are the ones who rise. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop living like you need permission to want more. You are allowed to ask. You are allowed to try. You are allowed to fail and ask again. That is not weakness, that is life. And the more you engage with it, the more it engages with you. Your voice is your most powerful tool. Use it, today, now. Ask for what you want, and then take one step toward it. That is how your future begins. One of the deepest blocks that stops people from asking is not fear of rejection, it is shame. Shame about wanting more. Shame about not being satisfied with what they already have. Shame about appearing greedy, ungrateful, or selfish. This shame often comes from messages planted early in life. Maybe you were told to be grateful for what you have and never ask for more. Maybe you were raised in an environment where wanting better was seen as betrayal or arrogance. Maybe you watched someone close to you get criticized, mocked, or punished for having ambition, and you learned to hide your own desires to stay safe. That shame becomes a silent prison. It keeps you stuck in jobs that underpay you, relationships that undervalue you, and environments that drain you. Not because you lack ability, but because deep down you believe wanting more makes you a bad person. That belief is poison. Wanting more is not greed, it is growth. It is the natural human drive to expand, to improve, to become the fullest version of yourself. You are allowed to want a better job, even if your current one is fine. You are allowed to want deeper love, even if your partner is nice enough. You are allowed to want more respect, more freedom, more joy, more purpose. Those desires are not flaws. They are signals from your soul telling you where your potential is calling you. Shame thrives in silence. It convinces you that if people knew what you really wanted, they would judge you. So you keep your true ambitions hidden. You downplay your goals. You laugh off your dreams as if they do not matter. But every time you do that, you betray yourself. You teach your own mind that your desires are something to be ashamed of. The antidote to shame is honesty, first with yourself, then with others. Sit alone and allow yourself to admit, without guilt, what you truly want. Write it down. Say it out loud. Let yourself feel the full weight of that desire, without immediately shrinking it or justifying it. This is not about being unrealistic or entitled. This is about being truthful. You cannot build a powerful life on top of hidden desires. You must bring them into the light, examine them, own them, and then begin to speak them. When you start expressing what you want without apologizing for it, something powerful happens. You stop living a double life, one where you pretend to be content on the outside while quietly starving on the inside. You become integrated, whole, honest, and that honesty gives you a kind of confidence that nothing else can. Yes, some people will be uncomfortable with your honesty. Some may accuse you of being ungrateful or too much. Let them. Their discomfort is not proof that you're wrong. It is proof that you have outgrown their expectations. You are no longer willing to shrink so they can stay comfortable. That is not cruelty. That is self-respect. The right people, the people who are also growing, will not shame you for wanting more. They will celebrate it. They will encourage it. They will ask you what they can do to support your vision. Those are your people. Stop wasting your energy trying to convince the others. Wanting more is not something you need to defend. It is something you need to own, speak, and act on. Let go of the shame. It was never yours to carry. You were built for more. Start asking for it.
The art of asking is not just for one area of your life. It is a universal skill that transforms everything when you apply it consistently. Most people only ask in one or two areas and wonder why the rest of their life stays stagnant. But your career, your relationships, your health, your personal growth, they all require the same willingness to speak up, set boundaries, and pursue what you need. If you learn to ask powerfully in all these areas, your entire life begins to rise together. Let us start with career. This is where most people are the most afraid to ask. They wait for promotions instead of requesting them. They accept unfair workloads without negotiating. They tolerate disrespect because they fear being seen as difficult. But your career will not take care of itself. If you are doing excellent work and no one is acknowledging it, you need to speak. Schedule a meeting with your manager. Bring proof of your contributions. Say clearly, "I would like to discuss a raise," or "I am ready for more responsibility. What does that path look like here?" Do not assume they already know. Do not wait for them to care. Advocate for yourself like you would advocate for someone you love. That's not arrogance. That is professionalism. In relationships, asking becomes even more personal, and that is why people avoid it. They stay in situations where they feel unseen, unheard, or taken for granted because they're afraid that asking for more will push the other person away. But if a relationship cannot survive honesty, it was never built on solid ground. Healthy love is not about reading each other's minds. It's about clear, kind communication. If you need more quality time, say it. If you need more emotional support, express it. If something hurts you, do not bury it. Talk about it. Use calm, direct language. "I need us to spend more time together without distractions," or "When you speak to me that way, I feel disrespected. I need that to change." Yes, it might feel vulnerable. Yes, there might be tension at first, but that temporary discomfort is far better than years of silent resentment. Real intimacy is built when two people can ask each other for what they need and trust that the other will listen without defensiveness. If your partner cannot do that, you need to ask yourself a harder question. Is this the right relationship for my future? When it comes to health, most people wait until something breaks before they ask for help. They ignore fatigue, stress, pain, or emotional exhaustion because they think pushing through is strength. But neglecting yourself is not strength, it's self-destruction. Ask your doctor questions. Ask for second opinions. Ask your employer for time off when you need it. Ask your family to respect your rest. Your body and mind are not machines. They're living systems that need care, and you are the only one responsible for protecting them. Do not wait for permission to rest. Do not wait for a crisis to prioritize yourself. Ask for what your body needs before it starts screaming for it. Finally, in personal growth, asking looks like seeking mentors, requesting feedback, joining communities that challenge you, and investing in your own learning. Don't wait for growth to find you. Go ask for it. Reach out to people you admire and ask if they would be willing to share insight. Sign up for that course. Ask the hard questions in therapy. Surround yourself with people who make you better, and do not be afraid to ask them how they did it. Growth doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you're brave enough to ask for guidance, support, and truth. When you start asking in all areas of your life, you stop being a passive passenger. You become the architect of your future, and that's when everything begins to align.
You have been waiting for something. Maybe the right moment, the right amount of confidence, the right opportunity, the right person to believe in you. But here was the truth you need to accept right now. That moment will never feel perfect. You will never feel completely ready. No one is going to walk up to you and hand you permission to begin. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to stop waiting and start asking. You already have everything you need. You have a voice, you have needs, you have desires, you have worth. You do not need a degree in communication to ask a clear question. You do not need to be fearless to take the first step. You do not need to have it all figured out before you open your mouth. You just need to be willing to try, willing to be uncomfortable, willing to be misunderstood, willing to be told no and still keep going. That willingness is the only credential that matters. Everything else, skill, confidence, clarity, will develop as you move.
but none of it develops while you wait. Think about how much time you have already lost waiting for the right conditions. How many opportunities passed because you hesitated? How many relationships stayed shallow because you never asked the deeper questions? How many dreams faded because you were too afraid to speak them into existence? That time is gone. You cannot get it back. But you can decide right here, right now, that you will not lose anymore. You can decide that today is the day you stop rehearsing your life and start living it. The people who get what they want in life are not special. They are not more talented, more connected, or more lucky. They are simply more willing to ask. They ask even when their voice shakes. They ask even when they do not have all the answers. They ask because they understand a simple truth. Silence guarantees nothing, but asking creates possibility. You do not control the outcome, but you can control the attempt. And every attempt, win or lose, teaches you something that brings you closer to where you want to be. So stop treating this like theory. Stop reading about asking and start doing it. Today. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Think of one thing you have been avoiding asking for. Maybe it's a conversation you have been putting off. Maybe it's an opportunity you have been too scared to pursue. Maybe it's a boundary you need to set, or a need you have been hiding. Whatever it is, make the decision to ask within the next 24 hours. Do not wait for courage to arrive. Act, and courage will follow. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. Every day you stay silent is a day you choose to stay stuck. Every day you speak up is a day you choose to grow. The art of asking is not about perfection. It is about participation. It is about showing up fully in your own life and refusing to let fear write your story. You were not put on this earth to play small, to stay quiet, to accept less than you deserve. You were put here to rise, to grow, to contribute, to create. And all of that begins the moment you open your mouth and ask. So ask. Ask boldly. Ask clearly. Ask often. Ask without shame. Your future is waiting, not for you to be ready, but for you to be willing. And you are. Right now. You always have been. Now go prove it.